When Thomas Williams, a black owner of a major company, is forcibly removed from his own office, humiliated and accused without any justification, the entire office watches this spectacle of cruel injustice unfold. Anna, the secretary, and the security guard, driven by hatred and racial stereotypes, believe they are doing the right thing, until they find out who this man really is, and their worlds collapse under the weight of their own prejudice. How far can blind cruelty go, and how will the man subjected to such humiliation respond? What happens next will shock even the most seasoned onlookers. But let's go back to the beginning. Anna, a longtime secretary, sat at her desk surrounded by leather chairs, lamps, and neatly organized folders. Her morning was going smoothly, until a man entered, creating tension. A tall black man in a suit walked in confidently. This was Thomas Williams, but his confidence felt alien to Anna. A thought flickered. This man shouldn't be here. She slowly raised her eyes, pausing on the keyboard, suspicion in her gaze. She scrutinized him as if seeking a reason to deny him. Her professionalism barely concealed disdain. Ignoring her look, Thomas approached. "Hello, I'm Thomas Williams. I need to get inside. I have a meeting," he said. Anna frowned, standing with irritation. "I didn't see your name on the list," she snapped, clearly controlling the situation. "Who let you in?" she demanded, her tone accusing. His presence made her visibly uncomfortable. Thomas, surprised, calmly replied, "I'm the owner of the company, miss. I don't need an invitation." Anna's eyes gleamed with contempt. "Owner? You!" she mocked, laced with sarcasm. "We don't let just anyone in without verification," she continued coldly. "You'd better leave before I call security," she finished, her voice icy. Thomas outwardly remained calm, but inside he was filled with anger and humiliation. Every word from Anna struck at his dignity. He took a deep breath and said, "Miss, I'm the owner of this company. My last name is Williams. Perhaps you're unaware." Anna interrupted with contempt. "Unaware?" Almost shouting, she glanced at the security guard, summoning him with her authority. "Is this a joke?" Her icy laughter echoed. "This man claims he owns the company," she announced loudly for the guard. The guard approached, forming a barrier between Thomas and the office. Anna demanded documents. Thomas, feeling his patience thinning, handed over his ID, hoping to end the farce. Anna barely glanced at the documents, treating them like worthless papers. She didn't even check them, having already judged them fake. "I'm telling you again," her voice turned threatening. "People like you don't belong here. Get out, or I'll call the police." Her tone was a display of power, her eyes gleaming with superiority. Thomas, holding back anger, tried to explain, but the guard placed a hand on his shoulder, firm but not rough, blocking his path. "Listen, miss." Thomas's voice was firm. "You're making a mistake." Anna laughed maliciously. "A mistake? The mistake was letting you in," she nearly shouted, addressing the guard. "You think we let just anyone through?" "You've come to the wrong place," she said coldly. "Leave, or I'll call the police and say you tried to break in with fake documents." She was ready to ruin his reputation. The guard stood ready to act on her orders. Without hesitation, the guard shoved Thomas, his massive hand hitting him in the chest so hard that Thomas barely stayed on his feet. "Did you hear her?" the guard hissed, his face twisted with rage. The hatred in the guard's eyes mirrored Anna's, hidden but obvious, as if they were protecting the office from the unwanted. The atmosphere was filled with hostility toward those who were different. Despite the insult, Thomas tried to keep his composure, though the situation was spiraling out of control. His body tensed, his mind boiling from the injustice. But he wasn't about to back down. This was blatant racism. Thomas clenched his fists and said, "This is racism." His voice was calm but firm. Anna, clearly enjoying the scene, laughed maliciously once more. Her laughter was cold and sharp. "Racism? Seriously?" Her voice showed no shame or doubt. "I'm just doing my job," she emphasized, as if that excused her behavior. "If you were really who you say you are, people would know you." Her eyes narrowed as she looked at Thomas with disdain. People like you aren't on the list of company owners." Her words cut like a knife. The guard, ready to take things further, grabbed Thomas's arm, squeezing it so hard it caused pain. "You've gone too far," he hissed. "You should have left when you were asked." Thomas tried to pull free, but the guard tightened his grip. This wasn't just an expulsion. It was humiliation, a demonstration of power over someone who didn't fit into their narrow world. The guard, still gripping Thomas, dragged him toward the exit, despite his resistance. The entire office was silent, watching the finale of the humiliation. Some employees smirked, enjoying the spectacle. For others, perhaps there was discomfort, but their indifference was as hurtful as participation. They turned away, pretending it didn't concern them, though they knew they were witnessing injustice. Thomas felt suffocated by anger. But what angered him more wasn't being thrown out of the office, but how others watched with either indifference or pleasure. As the guard pulled Thomas toward the exit, the sound of footsteps broke the silence in the hallway. Several managers emerged from the elevator, their faces expressing concern, as if they already sensed something was wrong. One of them, a tall man in a suit, walked quickly toward Anna and the guard, his face full of confusion. "What's going on here?" he asked, noticing the guard pushing Thomas. His voice was cautious, as if he already felt the situation was out of control. Anna, without hesitation, confidently replied, "This man tried to force his way into the office without permission." Her gaze slid over Thomas, but her tone remained firm. "He claims to be the owner of the company." The manager was silent for several seconds, shifting his gaze from Anna to Thomas, who was now calmly adjusting his jacket. Time seemed to slow, and the tension became palpable. "That's right," Thomas said firmly, stepping forward. "I'm the owner of the company, and I'm waiting for an explanation for what's happening." His voice held dignity, pain, and anger. The manager turned pale. "Mr. Williams?" His voice was almost a whisper, full of horror. "Is it really you?" he asked, as if hoping it was a mistake. "Yes, it's me," Thomas confirmed coldly. The manager was paralyzed. He slowly turned to look at Anna, who suddenly realized the magnitude of her mistake. Her face changed, overwhelmed with fear. The guard, understanding that everything had changed, quickly released Thomas's arm. "Mr. Williams," the manager stammered, his voice trembling. "Please forgive us. This is a terrible misunderstanding." He looked helplessly at Anna and the guard, but couldn't find any words. Anna stood silently, consumed by horror and shame. The thought, "How could I let this happen?" echoed in her mind. Her career and future seemed ruined. "Mr. Williams, please forgive us." Anna's voice trembled, but she knew that no apology could fix her mistake. Thomas didn't respond right away. His gaze spoke louder than words, filled with pain and anger, not only from this incident, but from an entire system that degrades people. He realized that this moment symbolized all the injustice he had fought against. "You should reflect on how you judge people by their appearance," Thomas said quietly but firmly, looking directly at Anna and the guard. His words landed like a verdict. After that, Thomas calmly walked away, leaving everyone in silence. Anna realized her career was over, but worse than the fear of losing her job was the realization of her role in a racist system. Her ideas of justice were shattered. In that moment, she understood she had become part of a system she might once have fought against.